Okay, so I'm out here with the brand new Curado 200K. I don't really intend on trying to catch any fish. I'm just trying to get the feel for the casting characteristics. I've got 10-pound mono, 6/8 medium, so I'm not going to be throwing any really heavy bass. In fact, the first bait I'm going to throw is supposed to be a 1/4 ounce crankbait, square bill. So yeah, I'm going to leave the brakes on to what the factory set it at, which was 2 on. I'm going to start off with a slow fall on this crankbait, and then we'll go from there. Now, this is a brand new line spooled up, so one thing I like to do is I like to throw a couple of sidearm casts just to let the line settle. I've learned in the past that if you spool up some fresh line and you get out on the water and you just try to bomb a long cast, a lot of times you'll ruin the spool that way. So here we go. Okay, a minor overrun there. Cranking is really easy. So I'm going to turn the external dial to, I'm going to say 3. There's a wind to my back. Okay, that blew up. So I'm going to actually put one more brake on inside. Okay, cranking with these knobs is so comfortable, I can't describe it. They've kind of softened up the sharpish edges from the past. And the material, of course, is super soft. All right, let's put one more brake on. You know what, actually I had no brakes on. I don't know how that happened. I think I might have adjusted it, but I was casting with no brakes, so that kind of makes sense. All right, let's try again. Okay, that went about 25 yards, maybe 30, with just a sidearm cast. Okay, with just a nice sidearm flick, I'm hitting about 30 yards on this smallish crankbait. Okay, so you saw the overrun there in the middle. It kind of sorted itself out. So in this case, what you can do is just use that external dial to go up one. It's on 3 now, so I'm gonna change it to 4. Now I will say it is harder to turn this dial than with the previous model. So, and I've turned it to 4. Let's see if that solved the overrun. Yep, it sure did. See, that's the great thing about that external dial. You don't lose that much distance, but you get that much more spool control. Let's try one more time. Yeah, this cranking is effortless. Okay, I think I got the line settled so I can try to do some overhead long casts now. For those of you wondering about the thumb bar, it feels really good. It's still high, like the previous model, which I really liked. Now this is not the biggest crankbait with the biggest bill, but it is effortless to whine and crank that in. Oh, I actually caught a fish. That's crazy. Ooh, it's a decent one. He's not pulling drag. Wow, that's a nice little bass right there. Let's get him unhooked and get him out of here. Okay, so I let that bass go. That was a pleasant surprise. Wasn't really expecting to catch anything. So I'm going to turn the dial back to 3. See if I can get some more distance on this. So right now I got 2 on internally, 3 on the external dial. It seems to be a good setting for this little square bill. So everything on this new Curado seems to be just tighter and better made. A lot more refined, no strange noises, no clacking of the knobs. Everything is just tight and well made. Okay, I had a little blow up there. So in this case, I can actually go to 3.5 instead of going all the way to 4, which I'm going to do. Ooh, it is hot. Humid too. I'm not going to be out here this long. Okay, so I'm gonna go from, actually I changed it to 1 for some reason. I'm just gonna go to 2. 2 ought to be good. So 2 seemed to have solved that overrun issue. In fact, I'm going to go to 1.5 now. That's the beauty of the SBS Infinity dial. So this is the 7:4 ratio, but it's the cranking power is extreme with this the micro gears, the X ship, and the extra bearing on the main shaft. If they actually kept a 5:5 ratio, I don't see why this thing couldn't crank in deep divers all day. It's just so powerful. I'll say that went about 35 yards. Hard to tell. Spool control is quite excellent. In fact, I'm going to turn it down a little bit on the external dial. See if I can get a little bit more distance and the spool still be controllable. So everything about the new Curado K is just tighter, smoother, and quieter than the Curado I. I can tell just by fishing it for this few minutes that I've been doing. So apparently they've tightened things up in the Malaysia facility, the Malaysia manufacturing plant, which I knew they could. The palming is very comfortable for the way I palm, like this. And the one thing about the new thumb bar, the way that it's shaped, I don't know if you could tell when I was doing the Scorpion DC skipping vid, I kept having to wipe off the thumb bar because it was getting wet and too slick. The way this thumb bar is shaped, it has a little divot towards the inside, so that gives you more grip even when the thumb bar is wet. I can tell. Excellent spool control. I wonder how good this will be if I clean out the bearings, how good it would cast. Okay, I'm gonna throw this a couple more times. I'm gonna switch up to a top water and see just how far we can throw. Just in case you're wondering, this is a megabass. Oh, did I get another fish? No, I think I got some salad. Yeah, I got hung up a little bit of salad there. Okay, I'm gonna go down 1/2 of a step to see if that'll make a difference. Okay, yeah. That's the great thing about the SVS Infinity. You can extract the maximum amount of casting from the reel. And I know there's a few people who don't like the SVS Infinity brakes and they want Shimano to go back to the old style VBS brakes. And I think that's a mistake. This allows you to get that last 20% of performance that you could not get out of the old VBS, where you were just, you know, either with two brakes on, or if you went down to one brake, you know, you couldn't control the spool. So SVS Infinity is definitely legit. This third iteration here is definitely legit. Oh, I got a bunch of salad. So I'm cranking in this salad. It's pretty effortless with these new micro gears, and of course the X ship. I guess this is a good time to change out to top water. Okay, so I swapped out to the Lucky Craft Gunfish. I don't know how long this is. I think it's the 90. I think it's rated at 3/8 of an ounce. So we may have to adjust the brakes to accommodate the heavier lure. Wow. That went at least 35 yards, just a simple flick, sidearm flick. That's crazy. This gunfish walks the dog so easy. I mean, it can't help but to walk the dog. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the spool tension as is because this lure flies through the air so good. I'm gonna turn down the brakes on the outside to 1. Let's see if I can bomb this out. I don't know if you can see where that landed. That had to have been at least 40 yards. Let's see if I could throw over there. Okay. Let's try that again. Man, that must have went 50 yards. That went far. These gunfish topwaters can really cast. Okay, the wind took that. So yeah, this new Curado case seems like a definite step up over the Curado I in many respects. Wow, that went a long way. It's smoother, more solid, more refined. It's got more cranking power, it seems. It seems like it casts better as well. The new brakes are a definite upgrade when it comes to distance. And the old Curado was definitely no slouch when it came to casting for distance. All right, a couple more casts. That had an overrun in the middle that sorted itself out, and I still got good distance. So if I want to eliminate that overrun, what I'll do is I'll turn it up a half from 1 to 1.5 on the external dial. So it's between 1 and 2, and let's see if that sorts out the overrun. Well, it did not. It actually made it worse. "10, 15 feet up, caught some kind of draft." So I will go from 1.5 all the way to 2. I don't know if I said it, but the external dial is definitely easier to turn on the Curado I than on the new Curado K. The dial is a little too flush to the body to get a good grip. You actually have to turn it on its side. There you go. Just by turning up the dial a half a setting, it eliminated all that overrun, and it still went a long way, probably at least 40 yards, 45 yards. All right, I'm gonna give it one more cast, and then I'm gonna go home and take a shower because I'm soaked in sweat. All right, guys, I'm going to be having this Curado K out this weekend, battling its older brother, the Curado I. Hopefully I've loosened up the reel enough to where it can compete. All right, thanks. Okay, so as you can see, I was out on the water for about 30 minutes trying to get a feel for the casting and just the all-around fishability of the new Curado K. Now, as you can see, it threw the baits pretty good. I know GoPro distorts the distance, but I was really impressed on how far it threw both of these lures. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to weigh the lures just to see how much they weighed. Now, this little Lucky Craft square bill is supposed to be 1/4 ounce. And It's actually a little bit more than 1/4 of an ounce. It's about 8 grams, but still that's fairly light. And of course the Lucky Craft Gunfish, which I believe this is the 90 model, and it weighs 11.2 grams. So right around 3/8 of an ounce. And I was estimating I was getting about 45 yards with this lure, and probably at least 30 to 35 with this one. So the Curado K casted very well. A couple of notes I wanted to go over was that the retrieve was really rock solid and smooth. I did check out the schematics, and it looks like there is an extra bearing on the main shaft. So there's a bearing and a roller bearing supporting the main shaft, which the Shimano representative on Tackle Tour said that was needed when you use micro gears in a reel that does not have the a metal handle side plate, and it works. Now granted, this is not a big resistance bait, but the retrieve was just effortless. It was just powering through like it was nothing. Now the SVS brakes are a little quieter on this model, and as you can tell, when I had an overrun, you saw how the external dial came into play. Now one complaint was that the external dial is very hard to turn, and it's very flush to the body of the reel. So being flush to the body of the reel and very stiff to turn made it really hard to make adjustments. They should have either made it protrude out more and given it bigger teeth to grasp onto. Ultimately, I was having to use my thumbnail, and I was scared I was going to scratch the sticker off right there. But I'll go over a fix that you can do when you get your Curado K. And you can also do this to your current Curado I. Now what I did, and I've done this to my Curado and CITICA I, is you have to be very careful. But there's a screw right here. If your SVS external dial is very stiff, you can take a screwdriver and just barely turn it, and it'll loosen up the dial to where it's very easy to turn. So right, I've done the adjustment already, so this it's very easy to turn this now compared to before. And on the Curado 200i, it's a lot easier to get to. All you have to do is just barely, you don't have to turn a lot, maybe not even 1/4 of a turn, and it'll loosen it up to where it's very easy. As you can see, it's very easy to turn that dial. As far as ergonomics and palming, the best thing I can say about it is I did not even notice, I did not even pay attention to the palming. So when you're not giving any kind of notice to the reel, other than, you know, what your lure is doing or the cranking, then that's a compliment and a testament to a good palming reel. So I'm going to have to give the Curado K the edge in palming over the Curado I. Now, the thumb bar, the new thumb bar design, when I first saw it, I was like, I couldn't really tell if it was they set it down low or not, or if they kept it high. Now the good news is they did keep it high. Now they don't have any kind of texture like the previous Curado does. texture is a little different. It's more high grip, and it's got these little lines here to help you grip. Now, I think this worked against the Curado because when this got when this got wet, the water tended to stay in these little grooves, and you know, it kind of made it slick. Now with the new thumb bar, they have this little divot here that at least my thumb, when I press the thumb bar, it actually grabs a hold of that. And even though the thumb bar was getting wet, I rarely had to wipe my thumb off because of that little divot gave me traction. So that's a plus. And the engagement is very positive. There's no wobble or slop. See, I'm trying to press down. There's no slop in this thumb bar. In fact, there's no slop at all in the reel. Now I attribute that to these knobs as well. Now these knobs don't have any bearings, they have bushings, but they put them together so well that they don't have any kind of in and out play or up and down play. And that really helps out with the refinement feeling and the smoothness. Let me show you that the Curado, at least my Curado, I had a lot of play, and you can feel it. So you can see that movement in and out and up and down. You can even hear it. Now, of course, you can replace the bushings with bearings, but I don't think you really need to in the new Curado K. Now, will the smoothness and tightness last over time? That remains to be seen. I think it will. I think the Malaysian facility has really stepped up their game. I don't see any kind of quality control issues at all. Now, as far as the looks, that's probably the most controversial thing about the new Curado is the looks. I personally like the color scheme of the old Curado better. I think it made it look more high-end, the silver, two-tone silver. Now, I do still like the color scheme. It's a matte black, but what I think Shimano should have did was given it accents on the spool, like some yellow anodization instead of just all one color. And I think Shimano should have made these new end caps, which I think look really nice, made them silver. It would have given this a little bit higher end look. I do like the new handle. The cutouts are different. The star drag is the same, but I believe these are machined still. So on the water, I was very pleased with the casting, the retrieving. As you can see, I caught a little bass. Handled that fish no problem. So tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it out on the casting field, see how far it can throw a 1/4 ounce plug, and then throw another weight or lure and pit it up against the Curado eye and see what's what. Okay guys, thanks.